So one of the first concepts that we're going to be discussing in the first part of our digital magazine is acceptance, and that really just means to take people as who they are rather than just making those assumptions based on like the stereotypes or all those other things that we think of who they are instead of really just getting to know them in the first place. A big part of that is being empathetic, just going in with like a clear and open mind without all that junk that we learned from society up till that point, like cluttering up or whatever we already think we know about them.
The other topic is racism, and racism is basically treating someone differently or inferior based on the color of their skin. And oftentimes it stems from like ignorance and not understanding people's backgrounds and stuff. And also it can also be from pure hatred and dislikeness for the person. And the other thing is that racism can also be institutional and systematic, where like laws and regulations that are set in place prevent someone with a specific identity or race from, doing certain things in society that like help them move along. And so essentially racism can be isolating and really bad for the person.
Throughout the book Paris Noir, we see many examples of the racism African Americans faced in America and of the acceptance that they found in Paris. For instance, in America, blackface was used to mock African Americans for entertainment purposes, but in Paris, authentic jazz music was played primarily by African Americans, and so it was used by white men to blend in while playing in the clubs. And Parisians are also astounded at the awful treatment of African Americans in the United States, which is especially seen in one French woman's letter to a black soldier when she states, "But I do not fear them for myself, I am afraid of them for you, because they have said me the horrible punishment of colored men in America." The Parisians' fascination and acceptance of black culture allowed African Americans to flourish as musicians, businessmen, and artists, and it allowed them to build their own community within Paris.
So in this spoken word piece you sort of see a conversation happening between acceptance and racism. So in the piece, "I am not black and you are not white," you see in the beginning that the speaker is discussing where isms come from, so racism, sexism, classism, and how they're implemented through these stereotypes or these ideas, these misunderstandings that we have about people, and that the only way to actually have acceptance is to speak to people and to get rid of these labels that we've applied, because otherwise we're again just going to have separation between people, and these separations breed and lead to violence, which is a major issue that we see here. So again, that's what he discusses in the spoken word piece, and that's also what some of our other media sources discuss, like the effects of racism and how important it is to have acceptance.